You're listening to the Connected Health Podcast, where we bring together the science of functional health, the strategy of sustainable habits, and the wisdom of your body to help you feel vibrant, strong, and empowered. I'm your host, Vanessa Cohn, an integrative health practitioner, nutrition coach, personal trainer, and the owner of Connected Habits Coaching. And I help men and women heal from the inside out using personalized strategies rooted in hormone health, metabolism, gut health, nervous system support, and root cause healing. If you've ever felt like learning to be healthy is too much of an undertaking, this show will help you discover those healthy habits so that you can reconnect, rebuild, and reclaim your health. Today, we're talking about the unsexy side of weight loss. All of the unsexy things that you need to do to get to your goals and to make things happen. Of course, we're all into those really trendy tips and tricks that you see when you're scrolling on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, whatever it is. You see the post, you intend to come back to it later, and sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. The intentions are there. The intentions are good. However, you're not making the progress that you want to be making. And the truth of it is weight loss is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. And that's why most people quit, because the reward isn't immediate. The reward isn't there when you want it to be. You eat one healthy meal and you get on the scale the next day and nothing has seemed to change. And that's not how fast it works. And there's a lot of unsexiness to it. Some people think that it requires, oh, I need to start a new diet plan. I need to start a new workout plan. I need to switch gyms. I need to find a new trainer. I need to try a new supplement. I need to try to do a new workout split, or I need to do a 30-day detox or reset. And while the new next flashy thing sounds really sexy, and the way that marketing is these days, it's using language and words that just sound really exciting, and it's paired with, fun, flashy visuals of before and after. And yeah, I can agree. All of that's really tempting. I fell into the diet cycle myself when I would switch from diet to diet because the next one just sounded better and better and better. But what weight loss actually requires is way more boring than you think. Let's get into that. Let's get into the boring part of it. One of the mistakes that people make is relying on motivation. And motivation is something that is overrated when it comes to a weight loss journey because it's based on emotion. I'm waiting for a feeling. I want to get up in the morning and feel like I can go to the gym and I can do the workout, or feel like I'm in the mood to do this or to try something new. Motivation has its place, but motivation has this counterpart that is actually going to get you the results, and that is discipline. Creating a structure and operating off of a structure. Motivation is more emotional and operating off of emotion. Structure versus emotion. And when we talk about emotions are important. Emotions are clues, but they are not always facts. They're not always reliable. It's okay to feel what you're feeling, but that feeling is not necessarily true, and it's not necessarily going to help you. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. It's unreliable. Discipline is structural. It's built. It's tested. It's true. Did you see the disparity here? Our brains are wired for efficiency, comfort, familiar patterns, dopamine hits, and that is all the stuff that comes easy to us. When we try to make changes that we haven't attempted before, something comes up called resistance. It's tough. It's hard. It doesn't feel motivating. Sometimes it feels too hard, especially if the gap of what you were doing before to what you are trying to do is huge or seemingly unsustainable. And some people wait for Monday morning to come around and they're like, I'm so ready. I'm going to do this thing. I'm so motivated. I've got this new workout split. I've got this new macro split. I'm going to hit my numbers every single day. And they've never done that before. And then they start, and Monday might be great. Tuesday might be great. Wednesday, Thursday, you're starting to fall off the wagon. By the time the weekend hits, you had 6 beers with your friends on Friday night, and you feel like you lost all progress. That is what happens when you rely on motivation. And when you try to make changes that are too big too soon. Now, we know ourselves. We know our brain. We don't like change. We like what's familiar. We like what's comfortable. We don't like to try new things. We don't like to try new foods. We don't like to switch up our routines because our brain likes comfort. But what weight loss really requires is the opposite of that. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things that you've never done before. You're going to have to learn new skills. You're going to have to delay gratification. You're going to have to repeat things that might seem boring. You need to get comfortable with boring and boredom. I'm not saying that the comparison between motivation and discipline are meant to be polar opposites on the same spectrum. They're not. They're different things, different systems. However, I need you to understand the unsexy side of weight loss and actually what needs to happen in order for you to reach your goals. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I need you to be open to the possibility of doing these things that might feel boring, that might feel repetitive, that might even feel scary because you've never done them before. And something huge in our society today that is really hard is delaying gratification. It's so easy to drive down the street and pick up a nice, juicy, fattening meal from the drive-thru. And then there's the delayed gratification of cooking your meal at home that you have control over the ingredients, the portion size, and the quality of your food. That is delayed gratification. That is discipline. That is going to get you to your goals faster than pulling up through the Taco Bell drive-thru. I'm holding these two things in tension, what our brains are used to and what our brains need to become used to, because it's so easy for our brain to take over those repeated patterns. And you want to know why? It's like taking a path well-worn. Let's say you're hiking in the woods. You don't have to push through all of the brush and the branches and the tall grass and weeds that have grown around. You can see the easy road, and it's so much easier to go that way. And then there's the hard road where you actually have to cut down branches and step on the tall grass and just push through and open up a path for you. Our brains like the easy road because it takes less mental energy. And we live in a society where so many things are vying for our attention. And you know the phrase pay attention? Like you're paying your attention, you're giving your attention as a resource because it's valuable. You pay attention, you pay with time. And so many of us are locked into this media scroll for hours and hours and hours a day. Some of us are aware they have looked at their screen time on their phone and they're like, oh my goodness, I've unlocked my phone 92 times today and I've had my phone open for 6 hours of this whole last 24-hour period. Like some of these numbers are astounding, especially if you become aware of them. But I also want you to know that, these little devices are actually sucking your time, they're sucking your mental energy, and they're sucking your mental capacity. So when we wake up in the morning and the first thing we do is either turn on the television or turn on a podcast or music or even open our phone and scroll, it's hijacking one of the most optimal times for your brain to work and focus and dial in. Because you're scrolling and scrolling or looking for the next interesting, cool, funny, informative thing. It's actually taking cognitive power from you because then your brain starts to become wired to get that next hit of dopamine. And years and years and years of training your brain that way, paving a way through the forest and making a well-worn path, it's so much easier to go down that. And instead of actually doing your meal prep, you're going to find that you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for meal prep ideas. And like when it's time to cook, you're like, oh, I actually don't have time to make this meal. Let me go DoorDash something really quickly. One of the caveats of having such convenience in our lives with screens and technology and phones is that the dopamine that we get even from like researching, workouts or healthy meals to prep takes away from our ability to actually do those things in the real world. And it just makes us think and gives us the reward that because you looked at something means you did it. And that is not the same thing. Your brain would rather scroll for dopamine than meal prep because the result of you meal prepping consistently is 8 weeks away. Whereas the dopamine for scrolling is a few flicks of your thumb. One path is way easier than the other. You have to wait way less time. But your brain and body need to almost fight against those well-worn paths to create a new one, to create new paths, to create new habits and patterns. Let me give you an example. Your brain resists change, and that is normal. That's something that's hardwired into us. So there's the automatic patterns that our brain and body go into, but I also want to bring in the component of our identities. What do we think about ourselves when we're trying to go through the process of change or weight loss or, fill in the blank? Not only do our brains and bodies resist change, our identity also resists change. You might have a set of characteristics that identify yourself and set you apart from other people. Like, I am an achiever. I'm always stressed out. I'm always busy. I'm spinning lots of plates at this current moment. I can never see something through when I start it. I'm trying this new thing because the other things didn't work in the past. And all of these parts of you that you have adopted, whether you're aware of them or not, can dictate the outcome of your behavior, because you're running with these programs in your head. Everything that you start and try to do will usually fall inside one of those identities that you have taken on for yourself. When it comes to a weight loss journey, it's not just the physical things, it's not just the behavioral actions that you do either. It is the internal journey, the mindset that you have, the identity that you have. All of that plays a role. It's both neurological and physical. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're on a weight loss journey, but you have way too much going on and you're excited to start this new journey, but deep down inside of you, you're not sure that things are going to pan out because something always gets in the way. There's always a last minute meeting. There's always project deadlines that come up for work. There's always things that you commit to, even though you had no intention of committing to them. That's what happens. I can completely relate. This is a lot of my life story. And because those thoughts and that programming is running deep down inside of you, you actually start to change your behavior to line up with that identity that you already have in mind about yourself. For example, you start a new diet, you're doing well for the first week, and then you're looking at your calendar later in the month and you see that all of these events are coming up. You've got kid's birthday party, somebody's soccer game, work, volunteer things, a business trip. All of this stuff is popping up and you start to run automatically on the identity patterns of being such a busy person and being unsure of yourself to stick to something. And so based on your identity, you prioritize certain things about yourself and about what you do, and you act on that. The part that would be difficult to change is the identity. It's so deep and it can be really hard to undo the wiring that might have been there for decades on decades. And part of the hurdle that we have to get over when it comes to changing our habits, changing our behavior, actually doing the unsexy parts of weight loss so that you can hit your goals is changing your identity. And that's something that is also done with repetition along with everything else. So you can hit the weight loss, or you can hit the workouts, you can hit the macros, you can hit the protein goal. But if you're not rewiring what's inside of you, your thought patterns, your inner motivations and fears, that's going to show up and come up and get in the way. Think of those as roadblocks. Now, it can be so scary to relinquish a part of yourself, a part of your identity that has been there probably forever and you don't even know who you are without it. But there are small things that you can do to subvert that and undo that mental wiring to the point where you will not lose who you are. And one of the ways that I'll share with you in this episode is affirmations. Affirmations are known to be cheesy, but they work. They really do. This is why some of the top achieving people in the world, think top CEOs and people that you look up to, there is some facet of their routine that involves affirmations. Now, it might not be as cheesy as staring at yourself in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am loved. It can start out that way for sure, but that doesn't have to be what it's like for everybody all the time. So affirmations start to take on a new identity and start to accept change and accept openness. One of my favorite affirmations when I'm trying something new that I've never tried before is, I'm trying something new. It might not work out this time, but I can try again. And that's just like something that I sometimes say out loud, sometimes just repeat in my head to remind myself that first time I do something, I'm not going to be perfect. I might mess up, and it's part of the learning process. It's part of the growing process. It's uncomfortable. Oh my goodness, it's so uncomfortable. But let me tell you, the more that you do that and the more that you accept and embrace the lessons that you learn when you don't get things right, the better you'll be, because you'll have the knowledge to not make that mistake in the future, and you'll have the knowledge to help somebody else who's just starting on their journey. This is not going where I want it to go for this episode, but I love that we're having this conversation. Now let's get into the unsexy habits that actually work. These are the boring things that I talk about on almost every single one of my episodes. And that's the point. That's the point. I repeat the same things because that is what works. That does sound boring. But the goal is to rewire your brain to anticipate dopamine from something else, to rewire your brain to accept the identity that change is difficult but okay, to rewire your brain and your body to take a different route, and instead of hitting snooze 6 times, actually waking up and going to the gym in the morning. Whatever it is that you need to do to reach your goals, do the unsexy thing. And I'm going to reiterate some of those habits right now. You have probably heard this a million times coming out of my mouth, coming out of other coaches and trainers' mouths. And we only say the same things because they work. That's all. So the first thing, eating similar meals repeatedly. This is general advice for people on a weight loss journey. It's not advice for everybody all of the time. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Similar meals repeatedly. I like to tell people find a set of 5 to 7 or even 5 to 10 meals on Pinterest or online. Save those recipes, and those recipes need to be high in protein. They need to have different kinds of vegetables in them. They need to be generally pretty easy to cook, especially if you don't have a lot of time. And then keep those on rotation. 1 week you can meal prep 2 out of those 8 to 10 recipes, or 3 out of those 8 to 10 recipes, so that you have something on hand to repeat throughout the week. Eat those similar meals repeatedly because they're proven to work. They're proven to be easy. They're proven to have enough protein. Why reinvent the wheel? Secondly, another tip I'll give you is to track consistently even when you don't want to. This is also general advice for people on a weight loss journey. Depending on who you are, where you are, what your goals are, you might need to include tracking in your routine. And you can track things from not just your meals, but you can track how much sleep you're getting. You can track your bowel movements, quality and frequency. You can track your amount of water consumed in a day. You can track your workouts. You can track the amount of weight you've lifted. You can track the amount of weight that you've lost off of your body. You can track all of these things. Track your protein. Track consistently even when you don't want to. I like to use the app Chronometer for meal tracking. I used to use MyFitnessPal, but then they had all of these pricey upgrades and I just don't think it's worth it. There are other ones out there that are subscription-based or paid or free. Feel free to choose what you want to use. My personal clients use our online platform Practice Better that tracks everything, including all the things I just previously listed. It tracks everything and it's amazing. Some of the other apps out there will as well. And then when it comes to tracking your workouts, there are apps for that too. There's Trainerize that I have used in the past to coach people. I use EverFit now. I mean, I found what works and what I like, so I can't really give you any other suggestions, but I'm sure a quick Google search will line you up with some suggestions that you can try out and see what works for you. Another good tip that I'll give you is walking daily. Walking is so underrated, but if you work a desk job or an office job, you need to get up from your desk at least every hour to do a little bit of stretching, a little bit of walking around. I hear it said that sitting is the new smoking, and I absolutely love that phrase because I do think that's true. I mean, I like to rephrase it as sitting is the new thing that everybody's doing that is detrimental for your health. That's what sitting is to me. So if you sit too much and you're not moving around enough, that's an issue. You are not handcuffed to your desk or chained to your desk. You can get up, you can move around, you can get up and use the bathroom, you can go to the water cooler. Another tip I'll give you is lifting weights consistently. Muscle is your metabolic fire. The more muscle you have, the more better health benefits that you'll have in general because your metabolism is going to burn better and hotter. You're going to have protection against chronic disease. You're going to have protection against falls. You're going to have protection against memory loss. Lifting weights is the life hack. It is the secret. And I recommend just starting out 3 times a week. You can build up to 4 or 5. And you can plan your workouts in conjunction with the previous suggestion I made, walking. So you can walk as your warm-up, walk as your cool down. You can lift weights 3 to 4 times a week, hitting different muscle groups per day. And I do that as a personal trainer. I coach clients in person. I coach clients online. And that works through technology and apps, and it's pretty incredible. But there is a way to go to the gym, use the weights. Wherever you are in the world, your gym will likely have some free weights or some machines. They will likely have someone at the front desk or someone to give you a tour of the machines, show you how to use them. They likely have personal trainers, and if they don't, you can find your own personal trainer in person or online. Just use the internet, use the resources that you have to search for what you need. Another tip I'll give is going to bed on time. You are not going to lose weight if you are not resting. Your body recovers at night. Your body taps into fat stores at night also. So it's important to sleep plenty, at least 7 to 9 hours if you're a man, 8 to 10 hours if you're a woman. Women need more sleep. Keep your bedtime consistent, keep your wake time consistent, even on the weekends. It's tempting to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning when you don't have to be up for work the next day, but I guarantee you that's going to mess up your body clock. It's going to make you tired, groggy, feeling extra snacky the next day, or dysregulated for several days after. You want to keep it consistent, okay? Another tip I'll give you is random snacking, mindless eating. That's something that you need to stop. Now, that's a habit that we need to talk a little bit about, because random snacking can either come with nervousness, it can come with stress, and it can come with boredom. So nervousness, stress, boredom, those are all emotional states that will not be solved by the snacking that you do. They will not actually be solved by snacking. You might feel a little better because, oh, the salty, crunchy chip makes me feel better for a millisecond in the moment, but it's actually not going to solve the root cause of why you're nervous or why you're stressed. We have to stop that. You need to develop a new emotional habit. If I'm noticing feeling a little extra agitated, nervous, stressed, sad, food is one of the things that can comfort us. However, it doesn't actually fix our emotional state. And running to food to fix our emotional states constantly tends to do the opposite effect of what we want to do when we're trying to lose weight. So if you notice that you stress snack, emotional eat, boredom snack, start to become more aware and identify when that happens. Is it every time you come home from work? Is it after interacting with a certain person? Is it after being in a certain situation? Is it seemingly random? I guarantee you, if you track it and become aware of it, you start to see some patterns, and it can help you work on that to avoid that automatic decision of grabbing a snack. And you can start to rewire your behavior. So instead of going to the vending machine for some sugar after a very stressful afternoon meeting at work, you're going to channel that energy, and maybe you can take a 5-minute break, walk outside, get some sunshine, regulate your breathing, all the things that you need to do to feel better that will not sabotage your journey. A huge unsexy habit for weight loss is planning ahead. Now, we say we like to plan, and then we don't plan, we don't execute the plan. And one of my favorite quotes, I don't know who said it, I think it's been attributed to a bunch of historical world leaders. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That quote has stuck with me for such a long time. I think probably ever since I first heard it, because number one, I like planning and I hate failure. So of course, I'm going to do everything it takes to avoid failure, because failure personally for me is the worst thing that can happen. Some of the tips that I give my clients is to print out a calendar or have a calendar, something you can write things down. If you're a visual person and you like to write things down, write down your meals for the week on that calendar. If you are trying to be very precise with your calories and macronutrients, I want you to actually take out your tracking app and start typing in some of the ideas that you have for meals, and do a full day or a couple days of inputting those meals. And if your numbers at the end of the day hit your goals, that's your plan. You stick to those because you have proven and shown on paper, you've done the math, that those numbers add up to what you need it to be, and that works. Whatever day or time block that you have in the week where you have set aside to prepare for the next week, and if you don't have that, I suggest you make a time to do that. Plan your meals, and from planning your meals, you can plan your grocery list, and then you can plan when you're cooking those meals. I actually have a meal prep guide that I give away for free. All you have to do is head to my website, or you can click any of the links below where it says free meal prep guide. I'll have it there for you, but it actually breaks down this process of planning and executing so that you can get meal prep into a regular part of your routine. Meal prep is just one aspect of planning ahead, but planning ahead could be planning ahead when you go to sleep, when you're going to have water, when you're going to do your workouts, when you're going to do other self-care things, when you're going to eat your meals, what you're going to eat for your meals. Planning ensures a higher probability that you will execute that plan, because it'll already prime your brain to expect, oh, this is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to eat today. This is the muscle group I'm going to hit today. And that is going to get you through to the execution phase, and you're going to be able to do the thing over and over and over again. The last tip I'll give you of the unsexy habits that actually work for weight loss: do not let one off-plan meal or unplanned meal set you off into a spiral. You can plan perfectly for the week, but oftentimes I see a pattern of people hitting the weekend and they're not in their normal work routine, so it's harder for them to work out. Because guess what? They don't have to get up for work So they don't get to go to the gym on the way to work. So that's completely out of their routine on the weekends. And then they skip it all together and they spiral. And the weekend spiral is something that happens to a lot of people. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean like a weekend spiral, but you make a choice and it turns into a spiral. We need to stop the spiral before it happens. And going back to the last point about planning, if you plan a fun meal with friends, don't worry about tracking anything, don't worry about hitting any goals for that one meal, and you put that into the plan, number one, you're not going to feel guilty for it. Number two, you'll go back on the plan as soon as that's done and over with. Put the fun into the plans. Plan for fun. Plan for the times that you're going to be more strict. And there is, and I promise you, there is space for everything. Not everything is restriction. Not everything is tough and boring. But if you plan for the fun within the plan, you can fully enjoy it, fully be present for all of that. And so these tips, let me go over them really quickly. Eat similar meals repeatedly. Track consistently. Whatever you want to track or need to track those things. Walk daily. Lift weights often enough per week. Go to bed on time. Don't do any random emotional stress snacking. Plan everything ahead. And then don't let one off-plan event or meal cause you to spiral. When you do those things, weight loss will happen more consistently. One more thing I wanted to leave you with is the distinction. At the beginning of the episode, we talked about motivation versus discipline. It's not an either or. There's a little bit of both. There is space for both. There is nuance for both. There's also the comparison of discipline and punishment. Discipline is not self-hatred, restriction, shame. We don't want to punish ourselves into a lower weight category because that's not what it is. It's not punishment. It's not pain. It's uncomfortable, but it is not punishment. It is acting in alignment with your goals, with the promises that you made to yourself. You have to remember you're worthy of hitting those goals. You're worthy of being in the places that you want to be in, even when you don't feel like it. Remember, emotions are not fact. The worthiness that you have is a fact. So you're worthy of hitting your goals. You're worthy of fitting into that dress for that wedding in a few months. You're worthy of all of these things. When you create the stable routines and almost like take your own life by the reins, you are teaching yourself to trust yourself because you have control. You will follow through on your word. You treat yourself well because you treat yourself as if you're worthy to accomplish these things. And then you start to feel safe. It's a little scary at first with all the changes, but your body will start to feel safe with you when you take the reins and start to lead yourself into a better life and into better choices. So if you're stuck in the cycle of why can't I lose weight when I'm trying to do all the things, come back to this episode and ask yourself, am I willing to repeat these simple, boring, unsexy habits long enough to see the change that I want to see? Are you willing to be consistent even when it's boring? Because that's where the results that you want to get live. They live in the consistency, they live in the boring, they live in the repetition. If you're tired of chasing motivation and you want a structured plan that builds discipline in a sustainable way, I have a few resources for you. Number one, I have a free metabolism quiz. It asks you a few questions about your journey so far, what's going on in your life, and it'll spit out some results that I will go over personally with you and come up with a plan to help get your metabolism back on track. I also mentioned earlier in this episode the free meal prep guide that I have. All you need is to click on one of the links below labeled meal prep guide, and you can get that meal prep guide sent right to you. Or if you are lost and you need a little bit of guidance, I offer free consultation calls, about 20 minutes. If you wanted to snag one of those, we can schedule that at no cost to you. Just email me at vanessa@connectedhabits.com. If you feel like this episode really resonated with you, leave a comment on any platform that you're listening to. Let me know what you thought of it. Share it with a friend because sharing is caring. We want to share the health because health is wealth. Thank you so much for listening to the Connected Health Podcast.